everyone! So today I am bringing you the first part of my February reviews. I ended up reading 10 books in February, so I'm splitting this into two parts just because I find if I do too many books in one video I don't get to talk about them enough. So you will be getting 2 review videos this month. So the first book that I read was A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. Now I think this was a solid 3-star read for me. The ending saved it. The first 2/3 of this novel drag quite a bit. Just gonna be honest with it. It drags. The last third, absolutely fantastic. First 2/3, kind of a snooze fest. Now I was spoiled for this by children's television, and I don't know if this is a Canadian thing, but there was a TV show when I was growing up called Wishbone, in which a Jack Russell Terrier basically told the story, like retold truncated versions of classic literature. So there was one on The Time Machine, there was one on A Tale of Two Cities, and this kind of ruined the plot a little bit for me because I knew what was coming. But also it's really funny. I'm pretty sure you can look them up on YouTube if you haven't seen them. If this is just a Canadian thing, go look it up because it's absolutely hilarious. But yeah, so A Tale of Two Cities, just okay. I've since read a Dickens that I absolutely love. This I would not recommend for a starting place with Dickens. I think because this is one of his only historical novels, it kind of gets bogged down with details about the French Revolution and kind of the mechanisms behind the French Revolution. It just didn't do it for me. And I'm a historian, so it kind of like, because I know about the French Revolution and I've studied the French Revolution, it just kind of was retrotting over old ground for me a bit in the first 2/3 of this. The last third, absolutely fantastic. If the rest of the book had been as well written and as kind of character focused as the last third of the book had been, I would have enjoyed this a lot more, but it gets kind of bogged down by its subject matter. So just, you know, a solid, not bad. I don't hate this book, but it's definitely a solid 3-star read for me. Next up is my BookTube Recommends book, and this was recommended to me by Jean over at Jean's Bookish Thoughts, and she picked Wait by Jeanette Winterson. It's my first Jeanette Winterson that I've read, and I enjoyed it. I didn't absolutely love it. Once again, another 3-star read. This is a retelling of the Atlas myth. So I don't know if you're familiar with the Atlas myth, but he was a Titan, and he rebelled against the gods of Olympus, and his punishment was to hold the weight of the world on his shoulders, similar to his brother Prometheus, who when giving fire to humans gets his liver eaten out every day by an eagle. You know, the Olympian gods, really kind in retribution. So this is really interesting. It dealt a lot with self-identity of Atlas and Atlas's like kind of reflection on what led him up to being punished and the pain of punishment, and it was interesting, but it didn't quite move me. So a solid 3-star if you're interested in these. They've done a whole series of these, Canongate has, and I've read Boy Meets Girl by Ali Smith, which I really enjoyed, and I have the Penelopead by Margaret Atwood on my shelf that I need to read at some point. And they're quite short. They're only about like 120 pages, and the font's quite big, and like they leave a lot of space on the page. I don't know if you can see that, but it's quite an easy read. I think I read this in one sitting. But yeah, just nothing amazing, but still enjoyable. And I mean, I do want to kind of try and read more myth retellings now that I am much more familiar with the classic myths. So the next one is yet another just okay read, and that is Nancy Mitford's Love in a Cold Climate. I feel the same way about Nancy Mitford as I do about Eva Lenoir, in that they're enjoyable while I'm reading them, but they're entirely forgettable. Nancy Mitford and Eva Lenoir were contemporaries. They actually write about a lot of the same subject matter, kind of the eccentric upper class, and look at how silly and eccentric they are without actually bringing up valid criticisms in the way that Orwell does. And it's just interesting. Like it's not bad, but it's not good either, if that makes sense. It's just kind of, it's like eating candy. It's enjoyable in the moment, but entirely forgettable. So this is a continuation of The Pursuit of Love, and once again, I just kind of felt mad towards it. Like, I didn't hate it. Like, it's not a bad book. It's well written, and it's funny at points, but it's just, to be honest, quite forgettable. So sadly, Nancy Mitford's still not hitting it off with me. I have 3 more of her books to read, and I'm not like super jumping up and down to read them at any point. So now I have a book that I actually have a lot to say about because I absolutely adored it, and that is The Monk by Matthew Lewis. This is such an over-the-top book. It's an over-the-top gothic romance in, like, having read Anne Radcliffe's The Mysteries of Udolpho and Charlotte Lennox's The Female Quixote and Jane Austen's Northanger Abbey, you can really see where Northanger Abbey and The Female Quixote are drawing from when you read The Monk, in that kind of like over-the-top, completely absurd gothic romance. And it's fantastic. It's absolutely so enjoyable. It deals with the corruption of a monk and like selling his soul to the devil. Like, it's hilarious, and it's not to be taken seriously, and I don't think Lewis intended it to be taken seriously. It's just kind of one of those fun pieces of fiction that are, you just set aside your feelings of disbelief and be like, okay, this is gonna be ridiculous and I'm gonna enjoy every moment of it. It's like watching a Ben Stiller movie. You set your brain aside for a bit and you read it and you really enjoy it. Because this was so influential on Jane Austen and Charlotte Lennox, I gave it a 4-star. It really furthered my appreciation of those works having read this. I laughed at points when they mentioned ravishers in this, and I thought, oh, Arabella, and now I understand you. I understand where you're coming from. It's absolutely fantastic. If you're looking for kind of like a fun, over-the-top read, I would recommend this. So next up is a kind of a weird read for me. Definitely not something I've talked about on this channel before, and it's a non-fiction one, but because it's so popular and so many people have talked about it, I thought, you know what, it was sitting on my mom's bookshelf, and I thought, I'm gonna read this. It's not gonna take me very long, and I'll just, I'll chat about it. And that is The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, The Japanese Art of Decluttering and Organizing by Mary Kondo. Yeah, that's a title and a half there, guys. I don't know, I felt like reading something kind of, not dumb, like this isn't a dumb book. It's got a lot of good points in it. About owning too much, that I definitely agree with. The section on books, if you follow me on Twitter, did not agree with at all, obviously, for obvious reasons. Like, some of it I do, a lot of it I don't. It just, the fact that she doesn't think that you should keep books if you think you're gonna reread them, I mean, I get that you can repurchase them, but that just doesn't sit well with me. I think a lot of the issues people have with this book has to do with the translation. I think it's really poorly translated for Western cultures, for the Western market. And a lot of that has to do with Japanese culture and their belief system that everything has a soul. And I've seen a lot of reviews where they're like, I'm not gonna thank my socks when I take them off. And I get that. That is very much a Western thing. And the fact that they kind of didn't include an explanation that this was part of Japanese culture and part of their lifestyle, and it makes it kind of a weird read and such a weird thing for being so popular in North America when it's so poorly translated, in terms of like even just having a short explanation that this is part of Japanese culture and we understand that in North American culture this is not how we operate, but we're keeping these parts in, or even just editing them so it's not quite, it was a weird translation, and I kind of wanted to read it because of that. So yeah, I think this was like a 1 or 2 star read. Like, it's nothing new. If you read organization blogs or you read minimalist blogs, this is absolutely nothing new. If you're, it's got some good points on folding t-shirts. That's about all I got out of it. So that's the first part of my February reviews. I promise in the next part I did enjoy some of the books a bit more, and I will see you guys later on in the week with another video. Bye!